the chairman of the, I forgot, what was it? Jennie Award. I was fortunate enough to be chairman of the Jennie Award. The Jennie Award is the highest honor that any woman in GFWC can even be nominated for. It's named after Jennie June Crowley, our originator of GFWC. And so I would like to introduce our Jennie Award winner from Michigan, and a good friend, I hope, not just, you know, another person here, but Chris Burns.
Because in the 43 years that I have been a federated club woman, I started out as a young mother wanting to get out of the house in a new neighborhood, wanting to learn about my community. And I have to tell you, my first meeting of the woman, let me step back. I started out as a junior as well. Federation was a lot different back then. When I went into my club, you had to be invited. They had a waiting list of over 50-some people on their list. How I got in, I'll never know. I'm thankful I did because it's been very good for me. But I went to my first meeting. I got installed in May. Had to have a formal white gloves, and we went to the country club for quite a big dinner. I'll never forget that night. I was very shy, believe it or not. I went to this dinner and I had tea, hot tea. They brought the hot tea and I'm being very, polite and everything else. And I poured the cream into my tea and it curdled. Now I'm on display as a new member, so I drank the damn tea. So right from the beginning, I understood. There are things you do and there are things you have to do. And as you get older, there are things you won't do. So I went along and it was the summer, and the president of the club called me and she said, "Chris, I would like you to have the opening thought for the day." At that time it was called an invocation. At our first meeting. Well, I'd never even spoken in front of people. I spent the summer going to every library, every bookstore, looking at every poem, everything that would be appropriate for that thing. I was quite proud of myself. I went to the meeting, I did my little reading, and everybody smiled, and afterward they said, "Chris, that was very nice." I thought, how wonderful they think that I'm special enough to do this. 4 years later, I become the president. And I'm reading through the president's duties. Second thing on the list is you invite every new member to give the thought for the day. But you know what? I learned that because as a new member, just getting up here and saying 10 words is very scary. And then you can move along from that. So I've gone along and I've belonged to 3 different states. I belong to 5 different clubs. I do not belong to them all now. I still have my club in Pennsylvania where I started. And I had just learned so much, and my husband has taken the journey with me, whether it's been pleasant or not. Learned how to do the purple ditto. I was so proud of myself. Yeah. So I go into the women's club and they say, "Chris, how would you like to do the program, newsletter?" I said, "Oh, okay." They bring a mimeograph to my basement. And I had to do that. And then we got into like I said, the cut and the paste, and we just moved along. But through all of those processes, I did them with the other women, and you learned friends, you learned how to do things, you learned what was expected, I was brought up in the military. My father was the colonel, and so I knew the courtesies that, thank goodness, at the time. But then I watched GF kind of, go this way when they started taking members. What a great thing, because there are so many wonderful women in this world, from all walks of life, all socioeconomics, all culturals, and they all have something to offer. And we were missing out on all those wonderful women. And as I look across this room today, I see that. And most of you know me, and I'm not shy anymore. And I have learned much, and I hope you have learned much. And coming to a convention, especially a GF convention, you feel the pride of what you have done in your life, and what you have accomplished, and the people you have touched and helped. So you have to always keep that in mind, that you are doing great things for great people and for a wonderful world. And I thank you for recognizing me for my efforts.